Previously in From Slavery to Queenship, we watched a young orphan rose from captivity to the crown. Her name was Hadassah, but history would remember her as Esther. She was taken from the streets of Susa into the glittering courts of Persia, a girl with no title, no power, and no plan, except God's. Chosen among hundreds, she found favor where others found fear. The orphan girl, Esther, found great favor in the king's sight because God had favored her mightily, and she was made the queen. But this was only the beginning of her story, because while Esther was learning to live as queen, an enemy was plotting to destroy her people. Now the crown she wears will demand more than just beauty. It will demand great courage. Her people are about to be destroyed, and perhaps Esther was made queen for such a time as this. After Esther was crowned the queen of Susa, peace reigned for a season. But beyond the palace gates, another story was being written, one of pride, jealousy, and power. The king, pleased by flattery, exalted a man named Haman above all princes, and every noble was to bow to Haman. But one man refused. That man was Mordecai, Esther, the queen's uncle. He did not refuse out of pride or arrogance, but he refused to bow to any man other than God. At the king's gate, Mordecai refused to kneel. He bowed only to God Most High. Each day, Haman passed, and Mordecai stood without bowing while everyone else bowed. Haman was upset, and soon anger turned to rage. But while Haman was enraged, his anger sought more than one man's punishment. He wanted an entire people punished and erased, so he went before the king with honey-coated words. "There is a people scattered through your empire, my lord. Their laws are not your laws. It is not fitting they remain." A careless signature became a sentence. The king removed his ring, pressed it into Haman's hand, and the sound of wax sealing parchment became the sound of death. A decree was passed. Messengers thundered through the empire. Scrolls nailed to city walls declared, "On the 13th day of the 12th month, all Jews are to be destroyed." When Mordecai read the decree, his knees buckled. He tore his robe. Ashes covered his head. His cry filled Susa's streets. But Queen Esther did not yet know what was happening until Mordecai sent words to her. Her messenger Hathach brought the news. Her people marked for death by order of her own husband. The letter shook in her hands. Tears filled her eyes. How did this come to be? Mordecai sent words to Esther and begged her, "Go before the king. Plead for mercy." But fear tightened her voice. To appear before the king uncalled meant death unless he stretched forth the golden scepter. This was a law, and for 30 days he had not called her. She sent word back, "Everyone knows the law." But Mordecai's answer cut through her fear. "Do not think you will escape because you are in the palace. Who knows whether you have come to the kingdom and being made queen for such a time as this?" These words struck deep. Her crown was no longer comfort. It was purpose. Then she sent words to her uncle and replied,
Mordecai, gather the people. Fast for me.
"Fast for me 3 days. I and my maidens will fast as well. Then I will go to the king. If I perish, I perish." Then Mordecai sent message to all the Jews in Susa. They fasted and prayed. Inside the palace grew silent. No laughter, no feasting, only prayers whispered in the dark. For 3 days, no bread touched their lips, no water cooled their throats. Esther's beauty dimmed, but a brighter fire lit her eyes. Her courage grew and became unquenchable. On the 3rd day, she rose, pale but resolute. She looked into her mirror. Fear stared back, but faith had quietly built strong courage that answered to her. "Go." She clothed herself in royal garments, and then she headed to the unlawful approach. The throne hall stretched endless before her. Guards froze. Each step she took echoed like thunder on stone. The king lifted his eyes, and silence became a blade. Would he command her death? Would he find favor and be merciful? Moments passed, heavy as eternity. Then, as Esther got to the king, the golden scepter rose. The king extended it toward her like sunlight breaking through cloud. She touched its tip and bowed. Mercy triumphed over law. "What is it, Queen Esther?" the king asked. "Half the kingdom is yours." But Esther only smiled. "If it pleases the king," she said softly, "come today to a banquet I have prepared, you and Haman." Her voice was calm, but her heart thundered with courage and strategy. Haman puffed even more in pride as he imagined he was the only one invited by the queen for a banquet with the king. Then that evening at the banquet, the golden hall glittered. Wine poured, laughter flowed. Haman preened beside the king, but Esther remained
If it
silent,
pleases the
inviting
king
him
and
again
Haman,
for the next
perhaps
day.
you would both grace
Then
my
she
banquet
became
again
her
tomorrow.
weapon. After the banquet, they went back. That night, the king was restless and could not sleep. Then he called for the royal chronicles to be read, and in the dusty scrolls, a forgotten act surfaced, Mordecai's rescue of the king from assassins. What an honorable act.
What honor was given him for this?
None, my lord.
Haman on the other side could not sleep. He was planning Mordecai's death. At dawn, Haman entered, planning Mordecai's death. Before he could speak, the king asked, "What should be done for the man the king delights to honor?" Pride blinded Haman. He described his own dream as he thinks the king wanted to honor him. Haman, proud, confident, smiling. "For the man the king delights to honor, let a royal robe be brought, one the king himself has worn, and a horse the king has ridden, with the royal crown upon its head. Let the robe and the horse be delivered into the hand of one of the king's most noble princes. Let that prince array the man in the royal robe, set him upon the king's horse, and lead him through the city square, proclaiming before him, 'Thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delights to honor.'" King Xerxes, calm, deliberate pause. "Excellent. Do all this for Mordecai, the Jew who sits at the king's gate." The proud man led his own enemy through the streets, shouting praise to him. Humiliation marched beside him. That evening, Haman went home. He stormed into his house, pride bleeding. His wife Zeresh looked up, startled. "What happened?" she asked. He paced the floor, fists clenched. "Everything I have, wealth, sons, position, means nothing while that Jew Mordecai sits at the king's gate." His friends gathered, feeding his anger. Zeresh's eyes narrowed. "Then do not wait for him to fall," she whispered.
Build gallows 50 cubits by. Ask the king to hang Mordecai tomorrow.
"Then go to the queen's banquet happy and free." The words soothed his wounded pride. Haman's lips curved into a cruel smile. "Build it," he ordered. Outside, torches flared. Hammers struck. Timbers rose against the night sky, a monument to arrogance. And as he watched, satisfied, the gallows' shadow stretched across the courtyard. But what he built for another was already being measured for him. Evening returned, and they came for the second banquet. The same table, laughter, but now truth waited at the edge of Esther's lips. The king leaned forward. "What is your request, my queen?" "Even to half the kingdom," asked. Esther rose. Her voice was steady, her eyes
If
unflinching.
it please the king, and if I have found favor in your sight, my petition is that my life be spared. My request is for my life
The king's face hardened. Who is he?
and the lives of my people.
Where is he who dares this?
The adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
The hall erupted. Haman fell to his knees, begging. The king stormed into the garden in fury.
Who is he?
When he returned, Haman had fallen across Esther's couch, begging her. "Will he assault the queen in my own house?" Guards seized him.
No,
His
please,
face
Your
was
Majesty,
covered.
Spare me!
Silence! Take this villain out and execute him now!
By nightfall, the gallows Haman built for Mordecai bore Haman himself. When word of Haman's death reached the city, the kingdom buzzed with questions. But Esther's work was not done yet. She fell once more before the king, weeping.
If it pleases the king, let my life be spared, and the lives of
My people still stand under the first decree, she said. Let it be written that we may defend ourselves. The king nodded. Write what you please in my name. He removed his ring again and placed it on Mordecai's hand.
The king's new decree grants the Jewish people the right to assemble and protect their lives.
New scribes filled the chamber, quills racing across parchment. Messengers rode through the empire faster than before, bearing the new decree of deliverance. On the appointed day, every Jew may gather in his city, stand together and defend his life, his family, and his home. Trumpets sounded through every province. Men sharpened swords, women prepared food and bandages, elders lifted their hands in prayer. Neighbors who had feared them now watched in silence, for the rumor of the queen's courage had spread. And when the day came, the same day set for their destruction, the enemies who had expected slaughter met resistance instead. From palace courts to distant villages, Jewish defenders stood shoulder to shoulder all over the province. Their unity was their weapon, their faith, their shield. Those who came against them fell. The rest laid down arms, saying, "These people are protected by their God." Throughout the empire, the Jews prevailed. Not one who sought their harm could stand. In Susa itself, the struggle raged 2 days. On the third, silence returned. Not the silence of fear, but of victory. When the fighting ended, the city of Susa trembled, not from war, but from rejoicing. Homes that had been filled with mourning now poured out music. Families opened doors wide, neighbors embraced, tables overflowed with bread, wine, and laughter. Children danced in the streets wearing wreaths of myrtle. Torches flickered like stars along the rooftops, and from every doorway rose the same cry, "God has turned our sorrow into joy." Queen Esther commanded that this victory never be forgotten. She and Mordecai wrote it down and sent letters throughout the provinces, declaring that each year the people should remember these days. Feast, give gifts to one another, help the poor, and rejoice as the day God had delivered them from death. That darkness had become light. They called the celebration Purim. Every year, candles still flicker in remembrance of that day, and mothers tell their daughters of a woman who risked everything and lived to see freedom shine. History remembers Esther not only as a queen, but as a woman who spoke when silence was easier. Esther's story reminds us that courage still saves, faith still fights, and joy is always the last word. If this story moved you, type "courage" in the comments and share it.